Welcome in. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and coming up on this Monday, my final Eagles 53-man roster projection, taking a look at which players I think are going to make the initial Eagles 53-man roster following NFL preseason play. And let's set the table with this. NFL cutdown day is tomorrow, Tuesday, so all 32 teams across the National Football League have to trim down their rosters from 90 players to 53 players by 4 p.m. Eastern time. A lot of teams across the NFL have gotten ahead of this, and they have released a lot of players today, yesterday, and over the last couple of days following the finale of their preseason schedule. And on top of the Eagles and other teams having 53 players on their initial rosters, there are 16 practice squads available as well that can be fulfilled. And as far as the International Pathway Program, those players do not count toward the practice squad. So additionally, there is another practice squad spot available, so 17 members in total if teams do fulfill all of those spots. So Laken Vakalahi, the Australian former rugby player, as part of the International Pathway Program, he is going to be that international exemption, I would imagine, for Philadelphia here. Before we take a look at my Eagles 53-man roster projection, be sure to hit that subscribe button right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now for shows coming your way every day, live shows, watch parties, analysis, breaking news, that and a whole lot more. But also, when the Eagles announce their initial 2024 roster, we're going to do a deep dive right here on this show, so be sure to lock us in and hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's begin with the quarterback position. No surprises here. Jalen Hurts, the franchise quarterback. Kenny Pickett beat out Tanner McKee to be this team's backup, and the QB2 behind Jalen Hurts just practiced a little bit better, even though I think we all think that Tanner McKee is a better quarterback with a lot more upside. And then Philadelphia here going to cut Will Grier, who barely played in the preseason. Flip the page to the running back position. I don't think there are many surprises here. Oftentimes, teams will hold on to 4 running backs, maybe 5 running backs, depending on the depth at other positions. I think Philadelphia only goes with 3 on the initial 53. Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Gainwell, and the rookie Will Shipley. And I think all of those running backs are going to have roles this year in 2024, including the rookie Shipley, who did not even suit up in the preseason finale against the Minnesota Vikings. Woof, that game was rough. And then I think Kendall Milton and Lou Nichols, Ty Davis-Price, they don't make the team. But the Eagles did give some guaranteed cash to Ty Davis-Price, and I think it would be nice to see him come back to the practice squad if he clears waivers. He's a really talented runner who has to continue to work on catching the ball out of the backfield and pass blocking. But as a runner, he's certainly gifted in that department. This is where things start to get a little bit interesting here as we move forward for this roster projection, wide receiver position. After the Jahan Dotson trade, things have changed a little bit. The obvious players who are going to make this club, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Jahan Dotson. Britton Covey, from the start of the spring and training camp, in addition to the preseason, has worked his way to a point where I think he deserves to be a member of this 53. If the Eagles want to pull off some roster-building gymnastics, they could not have him on the opening 53, put him on the practice squad to clear a roster spot, and then on game day, he will be elevated. But I think Covey's too good of a player for that. I think he's earned it. I think that he could get snaps as a wide receiver. And, of course, as this team's primary punt returner over the last year and a half, he's been one of the best punt returners in the game. Johnny Wilson makes the team, and I actually think Ainias Smith, who is firmly entrenched on the roster bubble, ends up making the 53. He started to improve over the last couple of weeks at practice, perform better in these preseason games, plus he's a 5th-round pick, so I think that Howie Roseman gives him the benefit of the doubt on the practice squad. You keep the big-bodied wide receiver, Joseph Ngata, who in week 2 was really good, and then had a couple of drops, unfortunately, against Minnesota. Not good enough to make this team. And then the notable cuts, Paris Campbell, John Ross. A couple of weeks ago, it looked as though it was going to be a guarantee that Paris Campbell was going to make this team, but after the trade of Jahan Dotson, I think his roster spot got warm, and I think that he could latch on with another team across the NFL. To tight end, another surprise here. I think Philadelphia only goes with 2 because only 2 players are worthy of making this 53-man roster, and Philadelphia is very deep at other positions, so you have to sacrifice here. Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra. I think E.J. Jenkins gets brought back to the practice squad. It would not shock me if he makes the 53, but then you have to take away from another position. Albert Okwuegbunam, he gets let go. Offensive line, I'm going with 10 players here because I think the Eagles need some quality depth, which is a little bit of a concern for me. The starting 5, one of the best starting 5s in the NFL. Jordan Mailata at left tackle, Landon Dickerson left guard, Cam Jurgens at center, Mekhi Becton at right guard, and Lane Johnson at right tackle. Tyler Steen, one of your top backups. Fred Johnson has tackle and swing tackle ability. Trevor Keegan, the rookie out of Michigan, you drafted him late. He performed very well in the preseason, and I think that he could be a developmental piece for Jeff Stoutland and this organization. Same can be said for Dylan McMahon, some good, some bad in the preseason. And then the Eagles seem to really like Brett Toth, and they've liked him over the last couple of years. Matt Hennessy, a former third-round pick who the Eagles signed in free agency, played his college ball at Temple University, struggled in the preseason, struggled in training camp, banged up now. He could go on IR so that the Eagles can hold on to him. And then the practice squad candidates, Darian Kennard, Nick Gates, I like Dankwa, Laken Vakalahi. He's going to make this team as part of that International Pathway program. We're going to flip to the defense coming up just around the corner, but first, we're talking Eagles football. We're putting together this Eagles roster for this upcoming season. If you're pumped for the Eagles season to start, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Our sponsor for today's Eagles Now on this beautiful Monday, August 26th of 2024 is Game Time. If you're looking for the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed, an app that if you go to a lot of sporting events, but also concerts, comedy shows, theater events, has prices drop as the event gets closer, download the Game Time app because you're guaranteed to get in the door with the lowest price guaranteed. You want to go to an Eagles game this year? Plenty of tickets available and some really good tickets. One of the key reasons why I use this app, you see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. For instance, you want to go to Lincoln Financial Field, Falcons, Eagles, Week 2, as Philadelphia has their home debut. Section 105, row 13, $392. You see what you'll be seeing from those seats. And then you have the aerial view where you can look down if you're particular about going to a football game and you want to know what yard line you're going to sit at. Those options available. Philadelphia Phillies, Houston Astros, that series coming up. Use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, when you download the Game Time app and you create an account to get $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and attached to the pinned comment of this roster projection video. Defense, led by Vic Fangio. I think this unit makes massive strides from last year. Jalen Carter at defensive tackle, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Moro Ajomo, Marlon Tuipulotu, and Thomas Booker. Vic Fangio has gone out of his way to compliment Thomas Booker. Maybe he doesn't make the 53. I think he has the inside track of making this team. PJ Mustipher, Gabe Hall get let go. Ideally, they come back to the practice squad. PJ Mustipher is that standard nose tackle, which in a 3-4, sometimes teams like to keep. He really flashed week 2 of the preseason against New England, but the consistency not there. And if you're going up against a team that you know is going to run a lot, and you have PJ Mustipher on the practice squad, maybe you activate him on game day from time to time to give you some beef on the interior of this Eagles defensive line. To the defensive end and outside linebacker / edge rusher spots. 6 players here as well make the club, in my opinion. Bryce Huff, the big ticket free agent addition. Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, who people are freaking out about but need to calm down. Guy is 23 years old going into year 2. He has 3 sacks in his last 4 games if you count the preseason and the wild card game last year against Tampa Bay. Brandon Graham back for a 15th and final season. Jalix Hunt, really did shock everybody, was looked at as a project edge rusher who didn't start playing that position until a couple of years ago and went to Houston Christian. Before that, Cornell, FCS level player who dropped back in coverage, looked comfortable in doing so, was good against the run, can get after the quarterback. I think he might see some rotation snaps this year as a rookie third-round pick. And then Patrick Johnson makes the team too, had a couple of really dynamic, high-level, impactful plays throughout the preseason and gives you some edge rusher depth. I'm not confident in saying that the Eagles are done at outside linebacker and edge rusher. Don't rule out Howie Roseman trading for an edge or scouring the waiver market for a defensive end out there. Off-ball and inside linebackers. I think 5 make the team, led by Devin White, Zach Bond, and Nakobe Dean, who really started to come on over the last couple of weeks, which is a great sign. You want to see that third-round pick end up being a good player, and I think that Nakobe Dean has that in his body. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. can get some defensive snaps at off-ball linebacker, and then, of course, primarily contribute on special teams. And I think Philadelphia really likes Ben Van Sumeren as a special teams player. Against Minnesota, up and down, getting a lot of run as an off-ball linebacker. That's not really what you have him on your club to do. You have him on your club to be a special teams ace. The notable cut here is Oren Burks, who got hurt the first practice in training camp and then didn't make his return to practice until this past week. He flashed against Minnesota. Now, he's been in the league for a long time as a very good special teams player. He does struggle in coverage, but I like what Vic Fangio did with Oren Burks, getting aggressive, playing him around the line of scrimmage, shooting the gap, called his number for a couple of blitzes. If he doesn't make the Eagles, he is going to latch on very quickly with another team. I don't think he's going to come back to the practice squad because teams will value him. But Brandon Smith, the former Penn Stater, I think could come back to the practice squad for Philadelphia. Very deep position here at cornerback. Darius Slay, Quinion Mitchell, Isaiah Rodgers, Keely Ringo, Cooper DeJean, who made his debut over the weekend against Minnesota, and Eli Ricks make the team. Now, during our Cut Candidates video, I had Eli Ricks on there because he can't really contribute on special teams. But the thought here is that Darius Slay, Quinion Mitchell, Isaiah Rodgers are your top corners. Keely Ringo can be the gunner on special teams, which makes Josh Jobe expendable. So the notable cuts here, Josh Jobe, who the Eagles really like as a special teams player, and Zach McPherson, who the Eagles really like as a special teams player. I think both could make it back to the practice squad. And again, they could be game day activations. And maybe Cooper DeJean is not active because he can't really contribute as much on special teams. I'm just kind of spitballing here as far as roster flexibility. Safety. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, and Avonte Maddox make the team. Philadelphia only goes with 3 here because they're so deep at corner. They put Sidney Brown on PUP, so he will miss the first month if the Eagles go about it in that way. And look, James Bradbury's position switch from corner to safety has been a disaster. He's not a good enough tackler, in my opinion, to play safety. So the Eagles either cut him or they trade him away to a corner-needy team for some late-round draft compensation. It would not shock me if Tristan McCullum makes this team. He had a very good training camp in preseason. If he doesn't make the 53, he comes back on the practice squad for some safety depth there. And then lastly, the specialists, Jake Elliott, best kicker in the game, Braden Mann, who had a really good year last year punting the football, and Rick Lovato, the long snapper. Britton Covey's going to be this team's punt returner. At kick returner, it's an open competition. It seems as though Isaiah Rodgers, though, has the inside track. Grade this Eagles team, A, B, C, D, or F. Howie Roseman's done a great job with this roster construction. Now it's time for you to voice your opinions as to how you see this roster. Let me know. We'll be back later today on this Monday with another Eagles Now video, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.